Hello, and welcome back to Kim Reads as we start Nancy Drew Whispers in the Fog, which is the basis for the game Nancy Drew Danger on Deception Island. Yay! Chapter 1, A Surprise Visitor. The California sun felt warm on Nancy Drew's slender back. She stood beside the car she had picked up at the San Francisco airport and watched her friend George Fane run up to the steps of the small wood frame house. The house, the sky, and Nancy's eyes were all the same shade of blue. It had all been a long flight and a long drive, and Nancy was happy to be out of the car at last. "You made it," said a tall girl, running out of the house and grabbing George in a big hug. "Perfect instructions as always," George replied with a grin. "Hey guys, this is Katie Firestone. Katie, these are my best friends from home. Nancy Drew, my cousin Bess Marvin, and Ned Nickerson." Katie ushered them into their house and showed George her room. "I wish I could put you all up," she said generously, "but it would be pretty cramped." An attractive 20-year-old with brown hair, she had an athlete's body, tall, lithe, and strong. Nancy and her friends had come from River Heights to a spot on the Northern California coast near the tiny town of Seabrake. George had met Katie at a World Sea kayaking competition and persuaded Nancy, Bess, and Ned to come to the Seabrake for a vacation. To earn money, Katie piloted her own whale-watching tourist boat, and January was a perfect month to watch the migrating whales. They're all looking forward to seeing the whales and to training with Katie for sea kayaking. "I love your house," Bess said. "It's so cute." Although Bess Marvin was George's cousin, they looked nothing alike. Bess had pale blue eyes and straw blonde hair, with the reddish tones of Nancy's. George was slim and athletic, with dark hair and eyes. Bess's figure was fuller. "Well, look quick," Katie said with a toss of her long, straight, dark hair. "I've been working on it for 2 days in honor of your visit. I'm not the best housekeeper in the world, and things can get out of hand quickly." "Looks fine to me," Ned chimed in. "So when do we start the kayak training? I'm ready." Ned was also tall with clean, good looks. As captain of his school's football team, he was a natural athlete. He had been whitewater kayaking and come on the trip to get some experience kayaking on the surf. "It's really too late for a workout now," Katie said. "But I've packed a picnic. I thought we'd bike around the area so I could show you some of my favorite places. It's really beautiful here." "Well, we'll need to go in the town to rent bikes," George said. "No, you won't," Katie said. "I've got 7 or 8 in the garage. Biking's a big hobby of mine, and it's great exercise to keep me in shape. I pick up them at yard sales and flea markets for nothing. Rehaul them and fix them up so they're good as new." "Go on and take your pick, Ned. I've even got a couple of men's bikes I keep for friends." It took just a few minutes to pick bikes. From the back fender of Katie's red bike hung a sign with the name Firestone Whale Watching and Katie's phone number written on it. Nancy followed Katie as they rode single file along the wind 2-lane highway. To the left were fields of golden grasses leading to the Pacific Ocean, which was shining a bright blue lake in the late afternoon sun. To the right, more fields of green and gold ended at the foot of the enormous hill, covering a dark forest of redwood and firs. After a few more miles, Katie led them down a narrow path toward the rugged coastal bluff. They parked their bikes and leaned against a couple of cypress trees. "Now there's a sign you won't see in the River Heights," Ned said. Nancy followed his gaze to the short post topped with a rusted flat wood board. "Please don't shout," Nancy read aloud. "Sea lions use this beast as a nursery. Loud noises might disturb mothers and their pups." She looked down at the foot of the bluff. Beyond the sandy shore were large outcroppings of rock that formed a network of small islands and jetties in the water. Sunbathing on the rocks, just a few yards from the shore, were a dozen sea lions, some with babies smuggled next to them. "Let's go down on the beach," Katie said. Everybody grab something. Just leave the bikes up here. They'll be okay." Bess and George grabbed their backpacks and followed Katie down the wooden plank steps secured in the rocky side of the bluff. Ned unstrapped the picnic basket from the bike, and he and Nancy made their way down to join the others at the bottom of the steps. "Let's go to that side of the beach," Katie said, pointing away from the sea lion nursery. "There's an actual stone picnic over there." Katie led to them a large rock with a flat top. Around it boulders served as stools and benches. "I love this," Nancy said. "It feels so private." The stretch of beach felt like a large room. The bluff reached about 15 feet behind them. Beside them, a tower of rock climbed higher than the bluff. About 1/3 of the rock was seen anchored in the sandy beach. The rest rose up from the ocean. The rock was covered with thousands of pale gray and dark strip shells. They looked as if they had been glued on the rock in a mixed up jumble. Bess reached out and touched one of the shells. "What are these?" she said. "Mussels," Katie whispered, taking paper plates and napkins out of her backpack. "The whole rock's just one big mussel bed." "Hey, look at this," George called out. She was crouched at the edge of the water near another, smaller boulder. Nancy and Ned joined to look down into a small pool of water completely surrounded by sand and rock. "A tide pool," Nancy said, leaning down to get a closer look. It was a miniature ocean, alive with small fish and sea cucumbers. A starfish sprawled across an underwater wedge. Crabs scurried across the shell-lining pool's bottom. And flower-like sea urchins fluttered just beneath the water surface. "It's so beautiful here," Bess said. "We've got mountains behind us, like the sea and like the ocean in front of us." "Yeah," George said, unwrapping a sandwich. "Mountain biking behind us, sea kayak in front of us." She turned to Katie. "So where does the training begin?" "Ned and I are eager to get into our crock pits and start paddling." "Jenna is due tomorrow," Katie answered, taking a bite from a juicy peach. "Jenna Devlin. George, I think you met her at World Trials once. She's coming down to Seattle to train with us." "Don't forget the whale watching," Bess reminded him. "That's what I'm here for." "Don't worry," Katie told her with a smile. "We'll definitely get some of that in. In fact, you may be the last of my whale watchers. I'm thinking about closing the business." "What do you mean?" Nancy asked, opening a soda. "Is the business not as much fun as you thought it would be?" "Actually, it's wonderful," Katie said, gazing down the water drifting over her sand. "I'm not busy all the time, just during migration, so it gives me plenty of time to kayak. And I like the tourists who come to see whales. It's fun to meet people all over." "So what's the problem?" Ned asked. "Why are you thinking of closing up shop?" Katie reached into a bag for a few chips, staring at them, and then dropped them one by one into her plate. For a minute, Kate thought the young one was going to cry. Then Katie surprised her. She looked up, her dark eyes filled with anger. "Because I may not have any choice, that's why," she said, her words popping out like little explosions in the air. "Someone's trying to force me out of business," she continued. "I've gotten anonymous notes, threatening phone calls. It's driving me nuts." She pulled her head up high. "But I just don't want to throw in a towel. I want to hold in as long as I can. Maybe they'll give up." "Who?" Nancy asked. "Who do you think is doing that?" "And why?" Bess added. "I don't know for sure," Katie said. "This is a very small town. It's been a sleepy little fishing village for over a century. That means many generations of fishermen," Nancy guessed. "And they're pretty protective of their territory, I bet." "You got it," Katie said with a nod. "They believe they've inherited these waters for their family trade, and they're not thrilled to be sharing their territory with an outsider like me. After all, I've only been here 5 years. I'm still an alien. Might as well drop from Mars as far as the locals are concerned." "Well, why should they care?" Ned asked. "You're not fishing. You're not in competition with them." "I know, but they think I'm interfering anyway," Katie said. "They think taking a boat of tourists out for a day's excursion disrupts the water and cuts down on their catch." She squared her shoulders. "And it might," she said, "but I've got as much right to the waters as they do. I live here too." "And you should be able to make a living too," Bess said, placing her arm around Katie's shoulder. "It seems to me that dozens of whales swimming through the waters make a disruption anyway. George said, adding whale watching excursion to the mix shouldn't make much of a difference. That's right, Ned agreed. After all, it's only a few months a year. That's not too much to ask. I expect it's more than just excursions, Nancy said. It's the whole idea of tourists coming into town, strangers wandering around, cars parked everywhere. Do you suspect anyone in particular? Well, there's a third-generation local named Holt Scotto, Katie answered. He's sort of a leader of the fishermen. He's the biggest boat and seems to be the one who makes all the decisions. If he's not causing the trouble I'm having, he has to know about it and who's responsible. Nancy can help, George said. Remember what I told you about the world-famous detective? I'm sure he'd be happy to look in for you, wouldn't you, Nancy? Nancy smiled at Katie and George saying, sure, I could. No, thank you, Katie said, cutting Nancy off. I appreciate it, but I'd rather figure it out for myself, she added with a tight smile. I think I can win these guys over eventually. She started gathering up soda cans and trash. Well, we need to get back home. We're going to beat the fog and go to the sunset cruise. As they cleaned up the area, Nancy noticed a huge bank of fog over the water. While they were eating, it had been hung in the distance, an enormous gray cloud that rested in the ocean, swallowing up the horizon. Now was moving slowly towards them. Katie followed Nancy's gaze. As if reading her thoughts, Katie said, I love the fog. It's so mysterious. It will touch the shore by nighttime and crawl clear into the hills. It looks so solid from here, Beth said, almost like a silver wall. But when you're in it, it's just whips, Katie murmured. 1 second you can see for miles, the next you see nothing but fog. Nancy felt a chill shimmy down her back. What was that, she wondered. She reached for her sweatshirt. The sun's going down, she assured herself. It's getting cooler, but she couldn't shake the odd feeling. There's something going on here, she thought. I wonder what we're getting into. On the bike ride back to Katie's, Nancy thought about her new friend's predicament. She wished Katie would accept her help. Nancy decided to keep her eyes and ears open just in case. When they got back to Katie's house, they put their bikes and picnic stuff away. After freshening up and gathering sweaters, they followed Katie into a long finger of land stretched on the ocean. There in the boathouse, Katie's boat, the Ripper, bounced on the gently rippling tide. Katie led them up the ramp to the deck, which was partially open and partially enclosed with windows along the sides. She stopped with a gasp when she stepped back on deck. Look what they did, she yelled. They trashed her. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.